Hello again, everyone. Derek Floyd here, Beautiful Now Podcast, welcoming you to another edition of Chasing the Impossible. This is the segment where we interview ordinary people, just like you and I, that seem to accomplish almost impossible things, to share with you and encourage you that you can do it too. Today I have an incredible special guest. This happens to be a good friend of mine. He's a Christian, a father, a husband, an entrepreneur, and he started off in the music industry creating a blog, something called The Recording Revolution, that grew to over 250,000 subscribers. And now he's launched another thing called the Cochrane Show to help entrepreneurs like you and I to get started. Can I help you and have you help me welcome my good friend, Cochrane? Graham, you there today, buddy?
I'm good, Derek. Thanks for having me on, man.
Man, Graham, I'm so glad you stopped by. Thanks for talking to my subscribers today. You know, I've always found you inspiring just talking to you one on one. So I'm excited to let you share part of your story so that others can be inspired as well. You've done so much in such a short time. And again, you inspired me to do quite a few things. So tell them a little bit about your first love, which is the recording revolution. Give them a little bit about that.
So Recording Revolution is a YouTube channel, it's a website, and it's a resource for musicians who want to make their music in their home recording studio. You know, they have like a little room like this, or they have a spare bedroom or a basement, or just a desk in their living room where they have a little laptop or something, and they've started maybe recording, or maybe they don't even know what they need to buy. What can I do to make it better? My goal is to show up there and basically bring them tutorials, training, sometimes product reviews, a lot of encouragement, a lot of mindset, a lot of strategies, a lot of dispelling myths, and like there's a lot of bad information out there. So I'm kind of a resource for the average home musician who wants to make really good sounding recordings.
Okay, so you have a website, which is the main center where everything comes through, but you also have the YouTube channel, which is where you funnel a lot of your content through. Correct? Is that all how that marries together?
Yeah, I mean, YouTube was a natural platform for me because I wanted to share a lot of video content, right? I wanted to show them what's happening inside of the software so they can see and hear the changes I'm making to the music. So because video is a good platform for how to teach it, YouTube made a lot of sense, right?
Sure.
Um, I have a lot of written articles and blogs as well. You know, I've done podcasts as well, but video seems to be the best platform for me, for my niche. And so I get more traffic and leads from YouTube than anywhere else.
Okay, so let me recap that. For most of us who are the average Joes here who want to learn how to make music or make a song or record a song, Graham's website is more like a resource that gives you tons of content and shows you how to do what you're looking for. Maybe like recording vocals or recording guitar, how to make your track sound like the radio. Because most of us don't know how. So it's just a great resource to get that started. He's been doing it for so long. But what I really want to go into deeper is that, Graham, you've been doing this in multiple ways, multiple platforms. And when you first started out with this kind of idea of doing the blog or doing Recording Revolution, I'm sure it seemed kind of daunting. Like, what was the thing that, did you feel like this was an impossible task to create this thing? Or did you just go right into it thinking, I can make this thing happen. I'm going to create this blog and people are going to come see me. Did it seem kind of impossible to you?
Oh man, well, everything I'm doing right now, I would have told you is impossible. I actually wouldn't have even known what it was 10 years ago, right? So let me back up, because what I do for a living now and what I feel like God has called me to do is not what I was trying to do. I didn't even know it was, like I said, possible. And it wasn't something I even felt like, okay, I'll give this a shot. I kind of was forced into this because I lost a job during the recession. So I moved from Virginia to Florida to help my buddy start a church down here. And I wanted the adventure. And my wife and I said, let's move. And I offered to be the volunteer worship leader guy and play music. And we all kind of left jobs and houses and got new jobs down in Florida. And this was in 2009. It was really a bad time, but I actually found a job finally at a startup in the financial services section. I didn't really care. I just wanted to get a paycheck so I could move. And 5 months in, we had moved, bought our first house, had our first baby, and then my company folded. It ran out of money. And I was able to move and transition, but now my income sources dried up. So what I also had been doing for years was freelance recording and mixing.
Okay.
Ever since my freshman dorm room, I was getting paid to record and mix bands. And I've been a musician my whole life. So recording became an evolution of my musician passion. And I did both. I made my own music. I recorded other people's music, but it was always nights and weekends, extra money, right? It wasn't like we got to depend on this to pay the rent kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I knew I had that skill. I could ramp that up and get some gigs to get some money. My wife is a photographer, so she tried to ramp up some more weddings and portraits and things like that. We were burning through savings. We were on food stamps for 18 months. I mean, we really had no money. And so I'm trying to gig my way to an income.
Yeah.
And all along at the exact same time, I started blogging. The idea was maybe if I blog about whatever clients I do have or whatever I'm doing in the studio, maybe if I write about it, share what's going, do some videos, someone out there will hear about me.
Wow.
They certainly won't hear about me if I don't blog because no one knows me. So if I blog, there'll be something out there. Maybe they'll find out what I'm doing, think it's cool, think I'm talented, like the music I'm making, reach out to me and say, hey, will you produce my record? Will you record my record? And I thought it might lead me to some more freelance work.
Sure.
But what God ended up doing is creating this movement where all of a sudden people were coming out of nowhere, finding my little blog, finding my little YouTube channel, and saying, oh, this is really helpful. Could you do a video on this? Or could you go more in depth on this? And so when I had time in between gigs, because I had no day job, I remember I lost my job. So when I was in between a project, or if I had a day where there was nothing to work on, I would shoot some videos for people and I would share it on Facebook. And I had no audience, no plan, no anything, but I kind of began this journey of, can I help people with this content? And is there a way to make money off of this? I had no idea. Is that possible?
Wow.
So what I do now for a living started in that sort of soup of uncertainty.
Wow. That is a crazy story. What a beginning, right? And I want to stop and pause and remind people, we talk about this a lot here in Chasing the Impossible. Sometimes when God allows something to happen to us, like your job was gone and you were forced to make a change, you were pushed into a different direction. Sometimes those are transition points. Those are God moving us along into something different. And we got to be not afraid to let that go and be ready to try something new. And you were great because you said, hey, I got to do something. I got to make money. I got to feed my family. And you said, well, I got on food stamps, which was amazing. You said, hey, I can do what I got to do to get my family fed. But that you took what you knew and you said, God, this is all I've got. What can you help me get something going with this? And you started Recording Revolution, which was a whole new thing. You didn't even know was going to come about, but it pushed you into a direction where that was your lane from the beginning. You were wired to do that, obviously from the success you had, and that it created something that you would have never done had you not been pushed out of your comfort zone. So if you're going through something out there, guys, and it feels like you're being pushed out or something's changing, don't look at it so negative. It could be a positive pushing you in the direction like Graham. Right, Graham?
Yeah, what I did see was that the content was really resonating with people. You know, like put something out, you know, there's people that are going to say nice things like your mom and your support me no matter what. But when I saw random strangers that would find a video, you know, and they would say, oh man, this is probably the most helpful video I've seen on this topic, or I like the way you explain that, or I finally understand this concept because of the way you taught it. Could you do more? It really was like, I had a conversation with my wife. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. All I want is stability and a paycheck. But it does seem like there's something here.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with it, but should I keep following it? Because I was really insecure. And I try to be honest with people. Like I didn't like get this idea. And even though I lost my job, thought, well, now's my chance to start a business. I didn't want a business.
Yeah.
I like stability. Like I said, I'm a big fan of being able to predict what my money's going to be. So I wasn't trying to make something work. I wasn't trying to go for my dreams or work from home. Like I was willing to do whatever.
Right.
But my wife was a big supporter. She said, no, I see what you're seeing.
Right.
I don't know how you monetize it either. And even if you did, I don't know how it'd ever be enough money to support us, but maybe it's a piece of the puzzle. You know, you'll keep getting some gigs. I'll keep gigs, and maybe this little YouTube channel or website will turn into something that maybe it all work together. And so I wrestled and again, like I'm on food stamps, which is, I only say that because that was something my wife requested we apply for, because we really had no income coming, because it was one thing to the next. Once I burned through my savings, there was nothing.
Sure.
And I turned her down. I said, no, I'm not I'm not going to take a handout, right?
Wow.
I was like, it was more of like, I felt like I would, even if nobody knew, I would know. And I would feel like a failure. I would feel like I have a college degree. These are all very prideful thoughts, by the way. But we really need the help. And we had a friend who they were on food stamps, and the amount of money was really helpful. And she finally begged me to do it. And I finally applied, and we unfortunately qualified, but unfortunately it was a huge blessing and a huge help. There was 18 months of that where I felt like I was working hard, but didn't know how to make money for my family. And I was embarrassed. I was going every holiday, man, like every time I'd get together with people, my family members knew that I had lost my job. And then they kept asking me, so what are you doing? Did you get another job?
Right.
I said, well, I'm recording and mixing bands,
Mhm.
and I'm blogging about audio recording. And that was the thing, is like I don't know how to make money. I don't actually know what I'm doing, but I feel like I'm supposed to do this, and I hate every minute of it. I don't have a vision for this. So it's just as awkward for me as it is for you.
Right.
Not the life that I had planned. I had like this quarter life crisis. I was 26 at the time. You're in your mid 20s. You feel like you've got to make it happen now or never, which obviously I'm realizing is not true. Years into my post-school career, and I just felt like a mess. And so it was not fun. My whole point of it, it was not what I wanted. It was not fun. I had no plan, but I knew that there was something there, and I was trying to do it, like the scripture says, whatever your hand finds to do with all your might. And so this is what God put in my path. And I was like, well, I'm going to make the best videos I can. I'm going to make the best articles I can. I'm going to help the most people I can, and treat it like it's a job, even though I don't know how to make money off of this. And if it's only for a few months or a year, at least I will have created a really cool resource that will help a lot of people.
So, Graham, that's a great point and some really great points to your story. I think the things that stand out to me right off the bat was that a lot of what you do and a lot of what you've always done is you always pour out. You're always helping someone else. Either, like you said, you wanted to do videos to help someone. You wanted to create content to help them create their own songs. Everything about what you've done was always to be a service to someone, which is an amazing character trait to have as you're building whatever impossible thing you're doing. It feels like a lot of times we focus on us, like the inside, just me, me, me. But to hear you talk, it really expanded. Your whole vision really expanded once you started to pour out and try to help others. Once you made it more about others centered than yourself. I hear you say you worked hard, but your real impossible at that time wasn't really the recording revolution. It was just to feed your family. You wanted to make sure you had enough money, enough resources to take care of those that depended on you. And you still gave out, and you still took care of your recording revolution. You still did things on the side, your bands, but your main focus was to feed your family. So you got on the food stamps, which you thought you didn't need to do, but you put your pride down, you took care of that. And I'm sure you took some things from family to help you get over the hump. But then you fast forward and you say, well, where do I go from here, God? What you've given me these things I know to do. I have some passion, some gifts, but they're not enough. How do I go from here? What's the why to keep going on this? Because I don't know if it's going to make enough money to serve my family, but I know you put this drive in me on purpose. I know you put this desire, this passion to help people musically. So what do I do with it and why? Right?
We all suffer from what people call imposter syndrome.
No.
Like an imposter.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be doing this.
Yes.
I thought about that a lot. I was like, I know how to record and mix music, but so do a lot of other people who are probably way more talented and way more qualified to be sharing this information than me. Who am I to put up these videos saying, this is how you do this, this is how you do this? I didn't feel like I had the credibility to just do it. And so I struggle with that at times. Even to this day, I still struggle with that from time to time, of like, I'll wake up one morning and feel like, man, who am I to do this? And
Wow.
in a lot of ways, it keeps you humble. It shows the power of what God can do, and also the power of not really thinking about yourself. Because it's when you say, who am I to do this, it's still a selfish thought. It's all about me, because I don't feel good enough about myself to do it.
Yeah.
And really, if, like you said, if you wanted, I think if you look at anyone who's had success, however you define it, but has had some notoriety or been able to achieve something that's people are writing about or impacted in a huge way, they generally do it by focusing on other people. Like they're not out there focusing on themselves. And so what you're good at, what you're passionate about, and what people need, right? And serve them out of the people around you as best you can, you'll be successful in all the ways that you can describe the word. And
Yeah.
I remember thinking, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And every time I think, who am I? That's one less opportunity to think about who can I help? Who can I help? Who can I help? And
So
is this stuff helping them? If it's not helping them, if everyone's like, dude, this is awful, then there's no point to do it. But if it's helping somebody
yeah.
in some way, then that's all that matters, right?
That's right. That's right. Now let's take a look and see where we are. Let's fast forward a couple years to where Recording Revolution is actually moving. You've got some momentum going, and you're looking up and going, "Wow, this is actually generating some revenue here." Was there a moment when you thought, "Okay, I got to get in and do the homework to really figure out how to make this machine work"? I mean, because you were doing it kind of by the seat of your pants, you had some knowledge a little bit about recording, but did you ever feel like, "All right, I need to go back to school for this, or I need to do some studying or some kind of homework to make this thing better, to figure out how can this be my full-time job? How can I help people with this and have the knowledge?" You keep saying that that you wanted them to believe your knowledge, and you didn't even know what you knew, but people were listening to you. People were saying, "Hey, I like how you're teaching that." When did you dig in to grind out to do the homework to make it even better?
So it happened in like, I would say 3 phases. The first phase was actually really early on when I was looking for ways to monetize it or make money off of this thing to just justify my time beyond the first 6 months that I just put in for free. And I put together a video course. Basically, I shot 3 or 4 hours of video explaining how to use this one piece of software that's kind of like the Photoshop of the music industry, right? And so it was this longer training, and at the time in YouTube land, I wasn't able to upload videos longer than 10 or 15 minutes. So if I wanted to share this whole training, it would have been like 50 or 60 videos. And I thought, you know what, this is really good stuff. I've taken the time. Maybe instead of making it a video series that I upload for free, how about I keep all the free stuff, but then I sell this. Maybe I put it up on my server. I create a PayPal button. I email out whoever's on my list and say, hey, I've got this amazing training. Here's how much it costs. Check it out and see if somebody buys it. And I remember the day I got my first sale. I think all I made was $45 at the time. I think it was a $45 sale. And I remember like, oh my gosh, like this money came in from a stranger that I don't know. Can I sell more of these? Like if more people bought it,
Sure.
unlimited potential, right? So that was like my moment of, okay, I figured out how this worked. People found me through the free videos. And then those who are really excited joined my email list and heard more information about me. And those people I let know about my paid course. Can I replicate this? And so that began a 2-year, 3-year journey of making more courses, trying to get more people to hear about me, and finding out what else could I teach, what else could I share that people would pay for. And that took about 2 years to really land on a couple of courses that became big hits for me. I probably had 3 or 4 courses that were okay. And then my 5th and 6th ones became, to this day, my best sellers. And that was about 2 years in. When I hit that 2-year mark, that was when revenue started to pick up from just a few $100 there, a few $1,000s there, to I think by the end of my 2nd year, I reached my all-time goal of making $60,000
Wow.
a year off of this little blog. And I hit that in 2 years. And that we obviously didn't qualify for food stamps anymore. I saw money coming in, and I was like, dude, this could be a full, not even a part-time income. And so I viewed it as my most important work because the potential was bigger, I thought, than even the freelance work, but it's always in between gigs.
Right.
So I probably was spending at least 20 hours a week on it,
Sure.
all the while I told someone last week on a podcast, but I always have taken Fridays off.
Right.
And there were reasons for that because I was very busy on the weekends volunteering with my church band. So Saturdays were busy with rehearsals and trailers and storage units and service. So I never really had a full day off to rest, to have that Sabbath rest with my family. So I was counseled by someone older and wiser to me to take Fridays off to be my family day. So from day one, I only really had Monday through Thursday to work. And so I was doing both in that time period, but I was treating it like a full-time job as best I could in those 32 hours I had.
Okay, so as I listen back, I feel like as I hear it, to me, it felt like you doing the homework was looking at how the business was running and saying, okay, how can I improve? How can I get more revenue from what's happening? Because you're starting to see some things move, starting to see the momentum happening. So I'm sure you did some research with marketing people and how to get people on your email list, how to be seen on search engines and stuff like that. So you had to do some work to be able to really grind out and how to make this chasing the impossible actually happen. And as it started to happen, I'm sure you're going, well, man, this actually can make a difference for us. This can be revenue. This can be a dream that you've been chasing for a while to actually be in the industry and make a living at it. But what I tell people a lot is that as they're going through their impossible task, that there's an arc that somewhere all that work, you're going to hit a wall, you're going to have to fall. Something's going to happen where nothing's perfect. And I think that's when we really figure out who we're made, what we're made of, and that wall, that challenge, that fall is part of the process. It's part of building up and becoming better, and that you learn so much more from the fall. You learn a lot from when you don't make it perfect. You learn a lot when you make mistakes because you have to learn how to correct them. And there's so much wisdom in the fall from time to time. So when I think about that with you, was there a time when things didn't work and you had to go, let me retrace or let me learn from what's happening here so that I can do better and push forward for your family?
I had I had nothing but success for, gosh, 6 years straight. I mean, it was just insane. It was a really sweet story because I just got to celebrate win after win after win. And then, after year 4, I really found some great resources. And I was like, oh, great. I can go back to school again, in a sense, and learn this marketing thing and learn content and learn all the things that I'm already doing, but learn how real good guys do it and study them. And so I really skyrocketed by implementing their expertise and their wisdom into what I was doing. But then I think it was 2016. So this is like 6, 7 years into this roller coaster climb up. I hit, like you said, like a wall, and it started to dip down where things started to fall apart outside of my realm of understanding and out of my control. And I was like, I'm doing all the right things. I'm doing everything I did before. Why isn't this working? Why is this going backwards? I started to panic. A lot of things were revealed in that year of, okay, wow, Graham, your identity is pretty wrapped up in this thing, because all business, from any historical look at any kind of business, they have ups and downs. Very rarely does a business always go up. And Graham, your experience has been up. So you're hitting your first plateau or down, and you're freaking out, which means that if your business goes down, you feel like you're going down, which is an identity crisis. And that was a big wake up call to, okay, there's got to be a difference between being passionate about what you're doing and being innovative and putting yourself fully into it to do it well, and it being your identity where you need to do well so that you are doing well. And that was very much exposed. So that was a painful year of learning that, wrestling with God about, like, but God, you built this thing. Like, aren't you always going to just blow it up? And this isn't my deal. This is God's deal. Like, he's entrusted it to me and he wants me to work hard with it. But if he wants to take it away, as a Christian, I have to believe that he has the right to take it away. He gave it to me. He can take it away. Am I okay with, mentally, the possibility of it just declining? Had some fun with my family, was able to do a lot of good, and then it goes away. Are you okay with that? And it took me like 9 months. I remember being on a trip with my family in Colorado, and we rented this house that was off the grid, like solar power, wind power, no cell phone service, no internet. And it was a great experience because, you really got close to your family and you're just out in nature. And I remember one day just sitting outside, like looking at nothing, having nothing to do, and saying, like, I think I would be okay with it all sort of coming down. I've separated my identity from it. I can still be used by God in other ways. And it was a really cool run. I'm okay with that, Lord. And I finally actually believed that. The crazy thing was that fall of 2016 was the fall that then things started to ramp up. God sent me some strategic people, some strategic ideas, some strategic vision. And that began this next chapter that I'm in the middle of, which is like growth chapter. And it's like, I thought I'd maxed out all my capacity, all my ideas, all that was possible. And it was like God needed to take me to a place of realizing it's not about you, bro. And if this falls apart, you're still okay. But he wasn't done with it, which I thought he was. He just wanted me to get to a place of being okay with it.
Wow. Wow. I really love that story, man. And it opens up a couple of things in my mind right away that, like I hear you talk about in the beginning, it was all about you. You were still the creative source behind this amazing website and this amazing reference, so this amazing resource. So at one point you're going, well, why isn't this working anymore? I'm still doing what you told me to do, God. I'm following all the instructions. I'm doing the same things I was working before. It was successful. Why is it taking a dip? Why is it declining? And you had to realize, okay, if this does decline, if this isn't it, and I lose all of this, am I still okay? Man, that's a tough one. A lot of us go through every day, I'm sure, even myself, as I look around and see all the blessings that I have and the job I have, which I love, and doing what I do here, chasing the impossible and beautiful now. If it was all gone, would I be okay with it? Would I be settled? Would I be peaceful? Would I be content? And that's a question we all have to ask ourselves from time to time, especially when God wants us to be just more dependent on Him and not ourselves. I think you were pulled into a place where you had to go, well, God, if this is all gone, I still have you and I'm okay. And it took you a minute to feel okay with it, but you did reach that point, and it humbled you again to realize even all the things you do right, everything can be perfect, everything can be in line. Something can happen that can pull things out of your control. And you have to be able to have your real faith, your real dependence, your real strength. And God, of course, first. He's your main source, the only real source you have. Because He's the one who gave it to you to begin with. He gave you that website. He gave you the resources, the knowledge. And if He gives it, He can take it away. But even if He were to take it away, you'd have to have the faith that He brings something better, or that He's doing something specific in your life for a purpose. A scripture that talks about that everything happens for a reason. Every good and perfect gift comes from God, and that it all happens for you for a purpose. It's tough to walk that out sometimes, to know that He's doing everything for your good. That's a tough one. But when you can really step back and maybe zoom out a little bit to see the entire picture, you can see how the ups and downs you went through that really helps you form who you are now have made the business even more successful than it would have been before. So I know you learned a hard lesson out there when it started to dip, but I'm glad that you did. Tell a bit more about the story and where it goes up from here. Finish off when you came back from Colorado and the business started to take off again, and there was more to learn, even though you thought you knew it all.
The moment I'm seeing some success, like I think 2015 was like this banner year for me for a lot of reasons. Revenue was as high as it had ever been. I was getting a lot of publicity in the press, whether it was, Business Insider or Yahoo doing features on me, or
Right.
interviews on some of my heroes shows. And I was getting a lot of exposure outside of even the audio space as like, a lot of success stories, when they become successful or whatever that looks like, you almost start to twist your story. You forget what really happened, and you almost look back at it now, seeing all of it lining up, and say, yeah, I did this, and then I did that because that's strategic, and then I did that strategic. Yeah, you did those, but you didn't know what you were doing. And other people all they see is your success, and they go, man, you did this and that was great. Like, yeah, I am great. And that's what happened to me. I was like, oh, of course. Yeah, I started the YouTube channel. I had strategic content, and then I launched this product, and then that made sense. And I did this and I did that. And those are all kind of true. They're things I historically did. I didn't know what I was doing. So I feel like God had to be like, whoa, bro, he just said, you're missing the point. And He humbled me. He still has to humble me. It was an important couple of years for me to have this massive high and then this massive confusion and low. And like you just said, Derek, remember, it's like, let's say, even if you weren't a Christian and you don't believe in God and you wanted to ignore that aspect, which I can't ignore, but let's say you did, you could still look at it from the humanistic standpoint of, wasn't it serving other people and focusing on them what led you to some semblance of success?
Right.
Wasn't it not really about you? It was about like helping people. Shouldn't you get back to that? Wouldn't that be a smart move? And the answer is yes, that would be the smart.
Wow, I really love how you brought that full circle. Because when I hear the story now, it feels like in the beginning you started off with pouring out, helping others, serving others, and God blessed that, and you began to grow, and your business began to grow because you were constantly pouring out. Your why, so to speak, was focused on helping people make better music, help their songs sound good, help them find resources to actually learn to follow their craft in music. So as you began to do that, you began to elevate. But then, just like everyone else, there's an arc to life, and you get to the pinnacle, and you look up and go, oh, look at me, look at everything I did. And God was like, hold on, buddy. I gave you that success. And He had to humble you a little bit to make you remember, okay, it wasn't always about you. yes, you've made these things happen, but you didn't do it by yourself, and it started to churn in you that maybe this was God all along, and it, even if I don't have this anymore, I can still be a giver. I had to go back to what started this whole thing to begin with, which was just giving to people and refocusing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the separating your identity from your accomplishment and your achievement, which is really hard for all of humanity, especially though in the West where we live, right? Where our culture elevates achievement and accomplishment, and achieving and accomplishing isn't a bad thing. So it's very easy to get sucked into it, but we so closely tie our identity to it as opposed to who are you apart from your achievements and accomplishments? That's a scary thought sometimes. Like
Mhm.
who are you? And if you don't know who you are apart from that, then you're going to be on a roller coaster ride. And when things are good, then you'll forget about this question. Who cares about, I'm great. Who am I apart from my accomplishment? And so that's the irony of it all is I don't want to stop achieving or accomplishing. I don't want to stop helping or doing cool things, but I have to almost be okay with like not ever accomplishing or achieving for in my life still being okay, you know?
Sure, sure.
I can't marry or hitch myself to this business because it will go up and down, even just fluctuate, or it could just come to a screeching halt. Then what? And that's what so many people, whether it's, you know, your favorite athletes when their career is over, who are they? They don't know who they are anymore.
Yeah,
Or an actor who no longer is getting work, or a musician who's no longer the it band anymore.
yeah,
There's so
yeah.
many issues from just the confusion to depression and suicide that's like possible when you realize, dude, I was who I was and what I was accomplishing. And now when those opportunities aren't there anymore, for whatever reason, I don't know how to operate in this space. And that's the danger of connecting who you are to your accomplishments.
Wow, wow, that's so good. That's so good. Especially a part about separating yourself from your accomplishments. That's one I got to continue to work on in my brain as well. Um, I think where I want to start to close this up for our subscribers and bring up the point that you took some time away, about 6 weeks off for vacation, which no one takes 6 weeks, man. What are you, crazy? But that's a blessing and gifting all by itself. But you took some time off to kind of rethink, and you bottled all this great knowledge into a new platform, a new website, a new resource called The Graham Cochrane Show. And that is where you teach people how to be entrepreneurs, how to follow what they're doing, not just the music side of things, but actually you actually show them all the stuff you've learned. You've kind of put it in a package, so to speak, to share that knowledge. Once again, being the one giving out, pouring out, helping others do what you do, helping others accomplish what they want to do, whether it be business or in life, because a lot of your lessons were life lessons as well. Tell them a little bit about the Graham Cochrane Show.
Well, as I've been able to achieve some level of success, and some people have noticed like, oh, this is a business he's running. This is strategic. This is cool. Over the last 4 or 5 years, I've been sort of off the grid coaching and helping people. It started with like my family members, like some of my brothers-in-law were like, hey man, how do I start an online business like you? One of them's a motorcycle mechanic and he's got an online business. One of them's in fitness and he's got his online business. They're both making money online, taking what they know and what they're good at and turning it into a business. So I was helping like my family members, then friends, and then even people in my space, helping them with their, like my competitors, right? I don't
Sure,
believe in competition. I believe in friendship and collaboration.
sure.
And I even helped some of them grow their businesses a bit more, to even people who would read an article about me and hit me up randomly and be like, look, I've got a business. Would you be willing to sit down and help me monetize the online space? And so I was doing that and really enjoying that as much as I enjoy music. And I've loved over the years learning new passions. And this became one of them, helping people understand the mechanics of business, like how do you physically do it tactically, strategically, but also the mindsets of business and how do you set your life up so that it all works.
Mhm.
And so I felt very clearly a desire and a calling from God to create a new resource to publicly do a lot of this.
Mhm.
So I finally launched that this January at grahamcochrane.com. Really clever name, right? What the resource is there is helping people either pivot out of a job they hate into a business they've always wanted to start, or if they've had a business or started a business and it's not going where they want, ramp up the revenue to the point where it's actually life-changing for them, or ramp down the work hours so that their freedom is freed up, or both. And there's people that are more advanced and people who have no idea how you'd ever get paid to do something you really love to do. How does that even work? And I wanted to create a resource where every week there's a new video and we're covering how to start businesses, how
Wow.
to grow your business if you already have one and really increase revenue,
Mhm.
how to get work-life balance down. That's one of my core tenets, is always talking about that,
Sure.
because so jacked up in my country, right, in America. You have to think differently than the average person to do different things. And so let's talk about some of those ways of thinking. So I'm kind of covering all those areas. I'll do book reviews and stuff like that also, but it's free content every single week to encourage, inspire, but also tactically give the training that people need to change their lives. Because I think not everyone's going to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody wants a business. I get that.
Sure.
But I think that everyone has either some knowledge or some skill that is helping them and their circle of influence. But if they wanted to share that with a wider circle of influence, it could help the world
Sure.
and make the world a bit better in any kind of niche. Like even if it's just like audio, it's like helping people with their music, which is like a hobby.
Right.
That makes the world a slightly better place, and you can actually get paid to do that. So it's really just me downloading everything God's taught me and everything I've learned and everything that I'm doing and learning and sharing it with the next crop of people.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think that as I listen to the story again, everything you went through, going through the ups and downs, the failures, from the food stamps to trying to drive the business, to trying to figure out what you're going to do, how you're going to write this blog, how you're going to find out how to launch this business, what courses to write, so on. All that arc up and down taught you what you're teaching now on the Graham Cochrane Show, which is, the basic mechanics of how to start an online business. You were able to help family members and friends, and you walked through so many processes that it gave you another source of information to be able to deliver to people, to share with others, to be able to create another business for more information that you learned through what you went through. So it just makes me think, okay, how many things have we been through in our own lives that we could take and repackage that, and not only have to make money in it, but to share the ups and downs of our successes with others so that they can be the best they can be. What you've done so far is always amazing to me. You've taken you've taken your whole life basically, put it in a bottle package, so to speak, and now you're able to help people. You make money back on that, which is awesome, but your whole goal is to help people succeed, to see people follow their dreams, to see people push and find that entrepreneur spirit inside and really make something of what their dreams are, put their skill sets to life, which I think is just awesome. I just see what you've done, and it always inspires me so much. Now, the other thing I really wanted to make sure I remind everyone is that your original purpose or task, so to speak, was to teach people how to record music on a budget. Like if you didn't have anything but like $300, could you make an actual track? Could you make an actual song and record it at home? And your whole premise in the beginning was to teach people how to do it with little money, and you did that. And it was that by itself was impossible. Like who would know how to record music at home and actually have a real great sounding track funded $300 or $400? That was an impossible task, and you show people how to do that. So you've taken that impossibility, and across the world, people now know you can do it on a budget, which again is just so amazing. But what I really think at the end of the day is that you, and just like here at Chasing the Impossible, what you talk about is that whatever you're going through, whatever you're trying to accomplish, it is possible. Nothing's ever really impossible. It may take you longer. You may have to work a little harder. You may have to grind it out. You may have to go a different road to get there. But at the end of the day, God shows us that nothing's ever impossible with him, number one. He makes all things possible. But that if you really want this thing, if you go after it, you can find a way, and there's always a way to make that thing happen. So we really want to encourage people out there, whatever your dream is, don't throw it away. Don't toss it and just because it hasn't happened yet. Everything is possible. It may take a little longer, a little harder, but it's possible. We believe it is. We want you to believe it is too. And that's what we do here at Chasing the Impossible, is try to encourage you to follow that space within reason, of course, to make sure you're not taking care of your family or anything, but making sure you're doing what you can to make that thing possible. We believe in you, so we hope you believe in you too. As we close out, I want to make sure that you guys can reach out to Graham, because, of course, he's a great resource for so many different things. And if you want to be able to ask questions or be able to maybe get into the Graham Cochrane Show or get into one of his classes, Graham, can you tell them how to contact you from this point out? How do they get a hold of you from here?
Yeah, the two best ways would be go to grahamcochrane.com, and you can email me right there through the site if you want to contact me directly, or follow me on Instagram at the Graham Cochrane. Graham, I'm more active there. I'm sharing stuff that's happening on the blog at grahamcochrane.com, or just stuff with the family. But yeah, that would be the best way to reach out to me and connect with me there. And if you're watching this and you are interested in the business stuff or sharing content, that kind of stuff, and you have like questions, like I need ideas constantly for future videos, or at the beginning even, what kind of questions they have. And I think I know, but it's fascinating to hear where people are like, well, I'm stuck on this.
Sure.
What about this. So
Sure.
you can help direct content. Just let me know, and I'll consider making a video. And so, yeah, if you're into music making, that's where it's happening. I've got new content every single week and tons of free resources. I mean, the resources that are free, I mean, sure, you could grab the paid stuff, but the free resources.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Graham, your free resources are even amazing. All of your videos on your channels are just really well done. And I like to look at them. I go back, and I'm even in the industry, and I know how to make my own music, but I look at your videos and learn something every single time. I think most importantly that they're still relevant. Like, you've created content in that sphere that you can watch for forever. The principles and things you're teaching there don't change. You've created great systems and great quality content that's still relevant. So if you're making music or need to make music on a budget, or you want to learn how to craft music yourself or make your own songs, I suggest going to youtube.com, Recording Revolution, checking it out, or going to grahamcochrane.com. These are some great resources, and there's lots of great free content. I know the paid stuff is the bomb, but the free stuff is just as amazing, which is rare when you get something of value that's free. So I challenge you guys to take a look at that content, see what you find. I know you'll find some hidden gems, like I always do, and I watch them quite a bit. So, man, Graham, thanks for stopping by and talking to us. As always, you've been a pleasure. You've been a great friend of mine for a long time, and I hope the subscribers out there really got a lot from your story. I know I did. And for all of you that like to see the Chasing the Impossible series, keep looking for us here every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time, where we have other guests and artists that are talking about how they've created their impossible task and how they made it come true. We hope you've enjoyed this today. Be careful out there, guys. Please be safe. Wash your hands.